Hi guys, welcome to episode 2 of Romp Chess Rating Climb. This week I'll be attempting to raise my ELO from 433. Last week in episode 1 I lost against the Caricom, which I initially confused with the Sicilian defense. I got off to a pretty rough start and I had some opportunities to capitalize on my opponent's mistakes, which I just completely missed and blundered. Dropped me low down a little bit, but that's okay. Had fun in the process and learned a little bit. This week I hope to win and get the elo going back in the right direction. So having said that, let's click on the play 1510 and see what chess.com has in store with us. So searching for an opponent. Let's see what we got. So I have Maria, and will be playing as black today. So they open with e4, and I'm going to respond with the French defense, e6. Oh, interesting. So they're moving the knight initially to h3 off to the side there. Not a conventional move for sure, so I'm going to push my d-pawn. See what my opponent decides to do with that. Okay, so they've got another knight off to the side here. So now they not only have one knight on the rim, they have two knights on the rim. So I'm just going to go ahead and take there. So now my my pawns are stacked, but that's okay. Okay, so another very unconventional move. My opponent has moved their light square bishop down here to a6, and geez, man, yeah, I wonder what I should do. So so I could either take with my pawn, doubling those pawns again, or I could just make a somewhat normal developing move and develop my my knight, take back with my knight, which is what I'm going to do, because I got to get the knight off the back row anyway. So there we go. Now we have three knights on the rim. Definitely very unconventional position. Now let's see what my opponent decides to do from there. And just kind of looking at the board, yeah, they move this knight over to c4. So the knight's not really threatening anything. I guess they could try to go to there and threaten my king, but that square is covered with my queen. I could try to kick with that pawn, but you know what? I think I'll just do something a little bit more conventional and move my knight back over to a more centralized square, which will also protect this pawn on e4. Let's see what my opponent decides to do now. Okay, so so they move their knight again to e3, and at this point, you know, I don't want to pay too much attention to what my opponent's doing. They're just kind of bouncing around all over the place. I just want to try to play my game and kind of like focus on my side of the board, right? Plenty of time left in the game, so let's get my other knight out here. White does have this queen on this diagonal here that I have to be thinking about. Okay, they move their knight again, yet again. So I think what I'm going to do is fianchetto this dark square bishop and push this G pawn, put it on this long diagonal here. Oh, sorry. Here. Or I could also do something with the slight square bishop, possibly fianchetto, or move it out here. But I think I'm going to try to fianchetto my dark square bishop. Okay, now they've got their other knight centralized. They're attacking here, so that pawn is protected. They're attacking here. That pawn is protected. So they can't really go there. They can't really go there. So I'm not really worried about the knights at this point. I'm going to go ahead and stick to my original plan and fianchetto this dark square bishop. Okay. They're, I guess they're thinking that they're going to threaten my rook there. So at this point, I could either take with this F pawn, or I could take with the H pawn. If I take with the F pawn, I'm opening up this diagonal to the king somewhat, with this queen coming down here. But I think what I want to do is take back toward the center, not away from the center, and that'll open up this H file for that rook. So let's take here. Let's see what my opponent decides to do. Oh, and they're bringing out the queen, and they just hung their queen. So really only one option here that makes sense, and that's to take back with the knight there. I see no downside to doing that, or really no other sensible options. So let's take the offering. Let's see what the opponent decides to do now. Oh, they just hung another piece. And again, it's an obvious blunder, but I don't want to be distracted by that. I want to play moves that make the most sense in terms of developing my pieces. So because good practice makes good habits, right? And I could take back with this C pawn, or I could take back with the queen. If I take back with the queen, that's a development move, and it would get the queen off the back rank. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to take back with the queen. Okay, and they just hung another piece. So at this point, I'm going to start looking for the most efficient route to checkmate. So let's go ahead and take this pawn and start hunting down that king. Okay, it's actually a justifiable move there. So they went ahead and castled. So just looking at this position, I've got this this knight on g4, which is protecting this square. And then I've got this rook on this open H file also hitting that pawn. So the pawn is hanging. If I take with the knight, let's see, if I take with the knight, I'm also hitting the rook. And if I end up taking the rook, queen could go there. I can move the dark square bishop to here. Okay, there's a checkmate in there somewhere. So, or wait a minute, no, I can't do that. Started to say queen could go there, but that pawn is currently covered by the rook. Yeah, so let's go ahead and take there. Let's see what my opponent decides to do with that. Oh, and they just hung another piece. Do I want to take back with the rook or with the bishop? So I could take there or take there. I think I eventually want to get my rook over to this E file to support this checkmate square. And then also it would be a blunder for me to take with the bishop, because if I take with the bishop, now the king could take back this knight. That would hang the knight. So we want to take back with the rook. Okay, we're attacking the queen. Do I have a counter to that? If I went there, check the king, pawn has to take. No, I don't really like that. Let's see. Let's just move the queen. Let's just move the queen to safety, like right here. Okay, White's actually has some counterplay going on here. They're attacking my knight. So I can move the knight there to safety over on the rim. move back here. Let's actually get the knight back here. See if my opponent takes with the rook. Oh no, they're I believe they're thinking a back rank checkmate. So let's go ahead and put the knight there and check. I could take back, or I can move the queen to there with another check. So let's check here. Now the king only has one escape square. If I move the rook to there, king has to move to there. And my opponent abandoned. So that's a win. I was playing a very unconventional player. They were at 3-11, but I tell you what, let's go ahead and review anyway. Okay, let's go to game review. Let's look at the stats a little bit. I did have, the computer said I had one miss, one inaccuracy. It gave me a game rating of 1150, which I'll take that. But let's do a quick review and see what we got here. I won't be like really talky throughout this. Let's just kind of go through the game, see if there's any lessons we can pull from this. And of course, like I said in the game, very unconventional opening from my opponent, putting the knight over on the rim like that. That move really doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever. I'm opening with the French defense, and there's another inaccuracy for white. I take control of the center. Another blunder for white. And then of course, like I said in the game, I chose to take back with the with my knight to get that knight somewhat developed, even though that's a very unconventional square for the knight to be on. I know I won't have any trouble redirecting, and at this point I'm already winning by 5.2 just because the positional errors that my opponent has made. So that's probably the biggest takeaway for the review. And then my opponent starts getting their knights a little bit more centralized. and I do the same. And so far, now here, let's take a look at this for a minute. So the computer is saying this is in accuracy, and I see the logic behind that. Probably would have been a stronger move for me to actually kick the 9 at this point, because it doesn't have a whole lot of places to go. But I wanted to explore fianchetto that dark square bishop, so that's why I made that move. So, but the computer did actually call that an inaccuracy, so that's fair. And then there's my fianchetto, and again, it's still wanting me to kick that knight, but it turns out there really wasn't any need, because the opponent ended up hanging their pieces anyway. Now the H file is semi-open for my rook, and there the queen is. Computer calls that an inaccuracy. I would definitely say that's a blunder. There's no need whatsoever for that move. To take the queen. I am in check there, so doesn't last very long, but I take back with the queen to get my queen off the back rank. My opponent's actually making some decent moves here. That's a justifiable move. They're kicking the knight, so they're actually demonstrating some counterplay. So I'll take back with the queen, just getting a little bit closer to that king at this point. Another decent move from my opponent. They decided to castle to get their king on a safer square. And I decided to completely open up the H file to expose the king. King can't take back because my knight is covered by the rook. Then white hangs another piece. I take back. Threaten my queen. I don't like that. Don't like your tone, white. So let's move the queen to safety. See what else we got here, and at this point I'm just trying to not do anything stupid and look for a way to checkmate. Computer said I actually should have moved my knight to okay, I see why. So the computer's saying I should have moved the knight to G4 here, which I understand that, because if I had redirected to G4, that would be covering this pawn on F2. So on my next move, I could check with the queen. The king wouldn't have been able to take back because that square would have been covered by the knight. And yeah, that would have been that actually would have been possibly checkmate, because this file is covered, so the king couldn't have gone there. Yeah, so a little bit of a miss there. A little bit of a miss there. And then that was actually a mistake for white. So by taking that knight, they completely exposed their king. Can you see that? So what they should have done was move their king over to the F file, but they didn't. They took back, so now their king is completely exposed. And then I check. They make the move that they should have made on the previous turn. And then my opponent resigns there. So so that's it, guys. Like I say, a pretty unconventional game. Get my elo back up just a little bit. But a win's a win. I'll take it, and the gains will get harder from here. That's chess.com. The higher you climb on your elo, the tougher your opposition is. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon for episode 3. Bye, guys.